Hello and welcome back. This is episode 2 of the new series we're doing. Today I'm joined with
Ryan.
Now I'm going to ask a series of questions. Don't say how you feel unless the question expressly asks it. What are you?
What am I? I would say that I'm a human, first and foremost. Constantly growing, driven by curiosity and a love for connection. But I'm also a Texan. I was raised in Portland, and I just recently moved back to Texas, so I'm kind of a human out of place at the moment.
Why?
Because I like connection and the freedom to be yourself, and Texas doesn't have that as much as Portland did. And so I'm still finding my way through the conservativeness of Texas, which is good, but it is definitely can be an uphill battle as an adult sometimes.
What do you want?
What do I want? Well, I want a life of meaningful connections, creative fulfillment, and the freedom to be myself fully. That is for sure. We spend so much time stifling others or holding ourselves back or repressing things, and I just want the ability to let myself be.
Why do you want it?
Well, because without authenticity and purpose, which I believe truly stems from being the freedom of being yourself, life feels kind of hollow. I want to create and inspire and leave an impact, and I do that with technology and with psychology or connections with people, and I really enjoy that, the essence of life that comes out of that, and the magic that comes from technology. I mean, that's truly all it is magic to us.
Do you think you should have it?
I believe that everyone deserves to live their truth and fulfill their potential, but I don't know. Sometimes in their journey or their life cycle for this time, they may not ever achieve it, but I think we all deserve it at the least. Absolutely.
What would you do to get it?
I would kill. No, I'm kidding. I keep it my boundaries pretty simple. I'm willing to dedicate time, energy, and I'll take risks. But the things that I hold dear and I will not do it at the cost of, it would be my integrity or my well-being, or really the safety of my family.
What would you do if you had it?
I would finally come. Oh, I would actually savor it. I would try to savor it. I would try to recognize it, actually, because there's been times where, I've been up and down in my successful career or not successful career, and when I'm at a pinnacle, I don't realize it at times, and then when I look back, I realize, wow, I had all of those things for me, or all of this opportunity, and I would try to acknowledge it, savor it, nurture it, and use it as a foundation to help others, basically to find the same fulfillment, because I'm all about giving a hand up and not worrying about handouts, and having that foundation is powerful, and I really would enjoy having that consistently.
What would you do if you knew you would never have it?
Well, I mean, obviously I'd just kill myself, but honestly, I wouldn't do that either. I'd find new ways to redefine my happiness and my purpose, focusing on what I can achieve in the now instead of dwelling on what I can't have, because I've spent plenty of time in my life doing that already. That is for sure, and it doesn't do any good to focus on what you can't have, because you'll sit there in a perpetual cycle of I hate myself. If you could just focus a little bit more on what you do have and be grateful for that, life doesn't seem so bad.
Do you think you will ever have it?
I believe I will. Because I trust my resilience and my ability to grow. And I've had a lot of opportunities in my life, if you will, to grow. And that can be put into context of like have a lot of bad experiences or have met a lot of weird people or whatever the case may be. But with each and every time with encountering that, I've definitely have grown significantly, and I think I will. I definitely believe I will.
What would you want next?
Well, I'd finally want inner peace, that's for sure. The constant nagging that my inner voice has for me, being a Capricorn moon, just, I'd like for that to finally just sit down, have some tea, and STFU. But beyond that, I'd like to create a legacy that's something that lasts or that continues to last, with some type of impact to the community or at least to my family, my smaller community. But yeah, I would definitely want to leave an impact, to create a legacy if possible.
Are you of any faith?
I was raised kind of in a faithful household, but I wasn't really. I wouldn't say I'm faithful. I'm faithful. Don't get me wrong, as if we were dating, but I'm not of any faith, if you will. The reason why is because I believe that God is so much of a personal thing for us that there's really no reason to focus on the religious aspect of things. I mean, it kind of controls the masses, if you will, but on your own personal level, God is everywhere. God is you. God is me. I mean, it's just it's so hard to put your finger on that. I don't like the way that religion seems to put boundaries on people or obstacles in front of people of what they want to do or who they should become. And so I would say no. No, I'm not of any faith. I'm of the universal faith that God is everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common and pretty good view that people have these days, because so much of popular religion has been bastardized and exploited,
Absolutely.
In front of you, there are 3 plates, each containing 2 of one of the following: spicy pistachio, capicola, and white cheddar. Look at the capicola and pretend it were a Rorschach test. What do you see?
I see. I don't know. I see something like the human anatomy like figure at the exhibit that showcases real humans. Like I see a slice of their meat cut right there, and I don't even know what I would see out of that. Maybe like a shrimp or a crab or something. But otherwise, yeah, it looks like it was just cut straight from one of the bodies there, and thrown on a plate.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting when I wrote that question, but I wasn't expecting everyone says human body or.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last guy said it was like if you cut your wrist open or whatever.
I wouldn't go that dramatic, but it's pretty close, definitely. Like maybe not the wrist, but like the side of you or like your liver area. I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely human.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make me eat human, are you?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Not today.
Oh, all right.
Describe the colors without using the names of any colors.
Oh, of this?
Yeah. Perhaps by analogy.
I would say maple syrup and grits.
Grits, really?
Yeah, the white represented by grits, and the maple syrup brownish color that's kind of there. It's not fully red. It's not fully brown. It's kind of like and then when you mix maple syrup with grits, it kind of gives you that color too, so because it lightens up the brown. So.
Yeah, I usually go salt and butter on my grits. Maybe chop up some green onions.
Oh yeah, that sounds delicious. That sounds good.
Now look at the pistachios. Tell me about your favorite tree. Where is it? What is it? Why is it your favorite?
My favorite tree. I would say that there's got to be one in Portland that I know I connected with on the waterfront, because I would walk that frequently. I live downtown, and I thoroughly enjoyed being able to go downstairs and just walk to the waterfront. And I would stop at these one areas, this one area that overlooked a little like harbor area for boats, and it had the Hawthorne Bridge, and there was always a tree there and a bench. And I have a couple photos I could show you, but there's just something about that tree that has so much energy to it. And I don't know if it's whether the amount of homeless people that laid there and screamed at night, or the amount of people that went there and did nefarious things and, just expelled that energy to that tree. Like, there was something so dynamic about that tree that it was definitely one of my, oh, hey, buddy, hope you're having a good day kind of trees, which is weird. When you're talking to a tree, you're like looking at yourself, I'm as crazy as this homeless guy that just left this bench. But, these things are alive, and they, especially when you're ingesting, psychedelics of any sort, you can see their vibrations. You can almost hear them talk. And I would say that a connection was made one eventful evening when I was doing that, partaking in that event. And I would say that that's probably my favorite tree, and I do miss it. I think about it frequently because I kind of want to sit on that bench. But, there's another great tree here in New Braunfels, and that would be the Founder's Oak. That is so old and has seen a lot in this last few hundred years that couldn't even imagine what it's gone through.
Was it planted by a founder, or?
I believe so, honestly. I'm not 100% sure on that, the historical part of that. My family's part of the founding families here, but I never did ask if that was planted by somebody or if it was actually just naturally grown. But I know it's been here for a long time, 1700s, I think, or 1800s, early 1800s. So
That's interesting.
yeah, definitely. New Braunfels is very interesting. It's got a lot of history here too. So
Yeah. The thing about Texas though is like nothing seems to be like that old. Like the oldest stuff is like 1850s, 40s, or whatever.
well, I mean, New Braunfels was founded in 1845. So I mean, if you think about it, there had to have been stuff going on here at least 10 to 20 years prior. So I mean, that's early 1800s. That's pretty old, man.
Yeah,
But-
that's old, but like when you go up to like the New England area,
oh well, yeah.
like the
They have a good
stuff
100
around
years
there
on
is-
us.
Yeah, like ancient.
Ancient. Well, now
or
see,
like
if you-
relatively speaking, I guess.
yeah, if you want to go ancient, I would say Texas actually has quite a bit to it, because if you look at the indigenous people and what they used to do here before we pushed them out, one of my favorite parks to go to is San Pedro Springs Park in San Antonio. It's actually the second oldest park in the nation. It's only
Really?
behind Boston Commons Park that it's the second oldest, and so. It's been utilized for over 13,000 years. There's caverns there. There's burials there. There's all kinds of crazy stuff there, and it was founded, or it was actually official in 1724 or something like that, which is insane to me. That's a long time ago. So there's definitely history here in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
But I understand what you mean by there's not that
Yeah.
much of old history, like 1492 kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean like pre-Columbian, there's a ton of stuff, like a ton of awesome stuff.
Yeah,
But most of it's not written down, so we
and
don't
that
know about it.
that doesn't count. Oh. They don't follow our religion. They don't speak our language. It don't count. I'll tell you what. So I'm just kidding.
Go ahead and try one of the pistachios.
Oh God, am I gonna die? Hopefully. Here
There's
we
a
go.
50-50 chance.
Sweet. Finally. Thank you, Lord. Does this one have LSD on it? Oh.
No, it's the other one.
Okay, good. Unique. Pistachio-esque with a splash of spice to it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they were just under your balls or something.
No, they were in my ass.
Okay, that's why I wanted to savor that. I see. Very nice. Well, good. The trick's on you, sir.
Now look at the cheese
Mm-hmm.
and tell
That's my
me
favorite part.
about a moment you fully accepted loss or defeat. How did you feel?
Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Losing is not something I do very easily. It's not that I'm competitive, and as a family guy would say, Pete, I'm not competitive. In fact, I'm the most non-competitive, so I win. And that's just like, oh, wait a second. How does that? Maybe I am a little competitive. And so having to accept loss, man, is just, it's one of those things where you really have to accept loss and be okay with it and move on. And it may hurt in the moment, but in the long run, it actually builds character, and it'll provide you an opportunity to grow beyond that person you were then when you had to accept that loss. And so I've had a lot. I used to be really overweight and just all kinds of unrequited love and falling in love with straight guys and all this other stuff. People that were unavailable because I didn't want to have to be available either, as far as I didn't know. But, I've had to experience a lot of dealing with loss in that regards. And I'll tell you that really it can drain your energy. It'll empty your heart. It'll break it. But then it creates this whole other experience of having this unconditional love and this constant drive for making a connection with somebody that's genuine and wholesome and is actually true to its word. So many people they do so many superficial things, especially in the gay community. But I would say that having to accept loss has been, through that channel of love, unrequited love especially, has been something I've dealt with frequently. Beyond that, though, there's been material losses. I mean, there's been, friends that I've lost, things like that. But it's never easy. I'll say that. It's never easy. But it definitely gets a little easier as you get older. How old are you, by the way?
22.
Oh, my God. You're just getting started. Okay. Well, I just turned 38 in November 7th, and so I've had some ups and some downs in my life, and one of them was pretty recent, actually. In 2023, I moved back here from Portland because of decisions I was making there. The people I was around, they just weren't healthy, and I went from being a very successful realtor, making over $225, $230 a year,
Damn.
to where I'm at now, which is, and it's not a bad thing. Thank God I have my parents, but I'm living with my parents. I can't get out of my own way to get my license here. There's just something that I'm stuck with from the loss of Portland, and
Yeah.
and my swanky downtown condo, having my nice car and all of this other stuff, but all that's material. And I recognize that, they don't make who you are as a person, but they really do help sometimes. You just can command a certain presence when you have that type of material, presentation for people, because so many stuff is so superficial. But I'll tell you, having a nice place to live, having a nice car, that doesn't make you a good person. And I've definitely worked with plenty of those people that are not really the salt of the earth, if you will. But dealing with loss is always a struggle, but the struggle gets easier, definitely.
So, do you feel like you got burned out, working in Portland, or what has you in kind of a slump?
I can't figure that out myself just yet. I don't know if it's something traumatic from my childhood, perhaps, or if it is something that is like, I don't know if it's a particular drug usage, or if it's like the people I'm hanging out with here still. Or, I don't know what it is, but for some reason I'm not able to. I mean, I've finished everything, even up to the application, and all I needed to do was submit that and pay the fee, and I'd have my real estate stuff rolling here, but I just haven't done that yet, and I just don't understand why. I can't seem to get out of my own way, and I don't know what it is. There's things that I've done to try to journey that path, to bring it to light and acknowledge it, embrace it, let it go. I do a lot of writings. I just can't figure it out. There's just something there that has hooked into me that I haven't been able to let go yet. And once I do that, I think I will actually be able to, project myself into something greater than just a realtor. But I think that'll be part of it. I definitely got burned out, and it was the people up there. It was the community that I was around. It was not the business I was doing or the the career I had. I mean, that was my best and most favorite thing about Portland, was being a really successful realtor there. It was pretty awesome. It was good stuff, man. But gosh, having those highs like that, it just sucks when you don't have them, and you're down in your lows. You're like, I really want to be super successful, but have you thought about when you aren't going to be as successful anymore? Is that going to make you feel worse?
Yeah.
It does kind of sometimes. So.
Yeah. So, what would you like to talk about now?
Well, how much time you got?
We have until the battery dies.
Oh, Jesus. Well, that just depends on what you would like to talk about as well. Because, I mean, you've asked me all these questions. I'd kind of like to ask you a couple.
Go for it.
What is your favorite tree?
There's this one that I had like a really, really intriguing conversation under one time, and it was when I was at a really low point, and I feel like that was one of those crossroad moments in my life, where where I am now was largely determined by it. It was one of the reasons that I got clean, and it was an oak. Around it was that kind of that kind of that West Texas sort of like red, like dirt, sand, almost kind of stuff, but it's a little bit lighter than red, not quite red. And there was a hill, or not a hill, but like one, those giant ants that don't make a hill, but like they burrow into the ground.
Oh yeah.
There was one of those about 10 feet from it, and I sat under that tree, and with my last $40, I bought a case of Trulies.
Truly.
And had a conversation that pretty much changed my life. So
Who was that conversation with?
A guy I had never met before and will never see again.
Those are the best ones, honestly. That's kind of an example of God in your life, I feel like, at least. And sometimes those are the best conversations to have, honestly. What did he tell you, or how did he spark that conversation with you? You said West Texas?
Yeah.
Where in West Texas?
Abilene.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah.
So, tell me, how did that conversation spark?
Well, I was at this like, it was like a sober program kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I left, it was the day after I got there. I went in, and the only way I could get myself to go in was to get myself drunk enough to, like, want to go in, because when I sober up, I just want to get drunk.
Yeah, so kind of like what I just did earlier today. No, just kidding. No offense.
Yeah, and this guy was there too, and so I was dropped off there by my parents. This was like 2-3 years ago, and so I had pretty much nothing. I didn't even have my phone. I just had my wallet, and the clothes on my back. This place was just down the road from the place I was staying at. This tree was behind a gas station, and so I walked to the gas station. I had about like $45 in my account. I bought a thing of Trulies, and before this, I was never a Truly guy. I still don't know why that was the one I went with.
Terrible decision.
Yeah, I think it was just because it was like the middle of like July, and like it was hot out, and that sounded like a better thing to cool me off.
Truly.
Yeah. Oh. And so first what I did was I asked to use their phone so I could call my parents and like see if they would come and get me. I knew they wouldn't, like.
Where are your parents at?
They're in a small town north of Austin.
Okay.
Liberty Hill.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
they ain't going to Abilene, I'll tell you that.
No, yeah. Not to pick up my ass from, wants to bail from the sober thing I think they just brought me to. So I, after they said no, I went and got some Trulies, and I went and sat behind it. And after a couple hours of me just like, or maybe it was like an hour or two, of me sitting on like the stump of it, this other guy comes by that was leaving the same place. He was maybe like 5 or 6 years older than me, maybe less. And we just got into like a long conversation about like, where we were from, why we were there. He was there to appease a judge. I was just there because I like didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going back to school because like my using had gotten out of hand. And I let him have a few Trulies, and he bummed a Black and Mild off of someone, and we shared that, and we talked for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, until his people came to get him, And he said, he looked back at me and he said, uh, we can come back. I'll come back and we can give you a ride to the bus station or whatever. And I was like, no, you're not. And like, I like started chuckling, and you could see him. He almost like wanted to defend that, but then like, me and him both knew that wasn't gonna happen. So he just shut his mouth, walked away, and ended up going back there like the next day or whatever. But yeah, it was a interesting time.
It sounds like an interesting time, for sure.
Yeah.
I like to go to parks, and I like to explore around wherever I'm at, especially like San Pedro Springs,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the amount of people that God has put into my life in the form of homeless people have been a lot. And it's really opened my eyes to recognize that we are all human, and we all desire the same things, just in different forms. And, they help to remove myself from the situation at that moment, and see it in a bigger picture of like, things could always be worse, things could always be better.
Yeah.
But at the moment, who you're with right in that time there is so divine, if you think about it. I mean, the fact that the universe can be here for, theoretically, trillions of years, billions of years, whichever, all these numbers we can't comprehend as humans, and the fact that even we're having this moment right now,
Yeah.
or this dog barking right now, like, this is great for sound. But it took billions of years for that situation to happen just now, and it'll never ever happen again, ever. And that makes it such a unique experience, and such a time to at least embrace or cherish that moment, because as bad as it can get, it's still your moment, and it'll never happen again. And that's kind of the biggest crucial thing. Like, we all go through cycles, and people come around in our lives again, like, we get rid of the toxic girlfriend or boyfriend, and they somehow come back around, and it's just like, well, we're kind of comfortable with what which is toxicity, and that's fine, but those moments are still very unique and very individual, and the fact that they even happened is a miracle in my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
how are we alive at this moment, and using this technology to record this stuff, like, is all I
Yeah.
can say.
It was Socrates who said, "Surely, if something happened only once, it never happened at all."
Easily done, and that's another good way to put it. Is any of this real? Oh. What do you think about simulation? Like, do you think this is a simulation, or do you think this is this is the real deal here, or what's going on?
Like, at first they came out with that one where they said like it's like a 99% something chance we're in a simulation.
Yeah.
And then like the 2 or 3 years later they came out with that other one. There was like maybe it's actually not a simulation because it was something about like data storage or something like that.
Right. As if the Lord hasn't invented beyond petabytes by now,
Yeah. But
Interesting.
I honestly don't think it makes a difference, but I don't think it is.
That's a good way to put it. That it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Because we're still experiencing it as it is, right?
Yeah, it won't change any circumstances. Although it seems pretty real to me. Like, although
What is real?
there's that whole thing about you can't prove the existence of anything outside of your own skin.
Even then.
Because of all the ways that you're perceiving everything could just be fabrications. They could be electrical signals that are strapped to your nervous system while you're floating in a pool, like in the Matrix.
Absolutely.
And if the technology were sufficiently advanced, you would never know the difference. But I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, if they haven't like pulled you out by now, you probably don't have to worry about it because
You'll have to see the woman in the red dress, huh?
yeah.
Funny now, in Portland, actually, it's a man in the red dress, but that's Portland for you. And it's also a them there in Portland, which is a fascinating thing. You know, it's like, oh, I get it, amen, huh? I guess I see how that could be controversial. But that's the...
And we are back on.
Okay, wow. So, you know, what's funny is most people actually cut off when I'm like, oh, you know, let's talk about this. And that's when the story ends. So I forgot what I was talking about. And, hey, it's been great talking to you today. But, no, I'm just kidding.
I think you were talking about...
Yeah, I was talking about the correlation between the trans movement and PFAS and, like, microplastics. And, you know, from my understanding, there's a lot of a lot of background in that PFAS or the microplastics causes a lot of estrogen to be released in our bodies, the endogenous type of hormone that
Yeah.
you know overwhelms the body, especially when you're a young, like an infant and a preteen. You know, when you get this huge flush of estrogen in your body, it makes you feel, you know, like Shania Twain, or you know, feel like a woman. And it's very possible for that to be the case. But if you look at the correlation between microplastics and the release of them into our environment, and then the subtle trans movement, they really go together very well. And so that's my theory, is that it truly isn't our fault. It's not anybody's fault, and that is how they feel. And it would explain why, you know, a lot of guys have this feeling that they are a woman inside, or a lot of women feel like perhaps they are just, you know, not who they are at the time. Because, I mean, it's not like it's releasing too much testosterone, so I'm not sure on the flip side of that. But I do meet more trans men, or was it trans women, you know, men who have transitioned to female these days.
So that would be trans women.
Okay, so trans women. So I've met a lot of trans women these days, both in Portland and even down in Texas, surprisingly. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, in this area especially.
Yeah.
In Austin, plenty. But, you know, this is one of the kind of like a Austin far out suburb, though. So
Yeah.
it's definitely around here, too. Definitely kind of like it was the fastest growing town in the country for a couple of years.
I remember reading that actually up in Portland. I was like, oh my God, I'm from there.
And it's got much, you know, big old brick buildings, so, you know, all the hipsters are coming down.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, we don't want you here anyway. But no, it's not true. I mean, it's definitely good to have that growth. But the problem is the city council here, you know, they're just as bad as the next city council, who can be bribed into doing anything for money. You know, and we have all these new developments going in and all these new apartments going in, and we don't have infrastructure being put in. And that just doesn't make sense to me. You don't build a house without a foundation, and that's exactly what city council here is doing, is trying to build this house, which is just going to be a house of cards. It'll fall at some point, if not has already started to fall, because traffic here is terrible. Water usage. I mean, water in our place, it's, you know, up there by Oak Run, it loses water pressure all the time. And it's bizarre to be paying such an exorbitant amount for water because it's expensive here, and then not have any water running to your house. It just doesn't make sense to me. And don't get me started on MBU. I mean, what a monopoly, right? But that's the beauty of New Braunfels. It's a neat little gym tucked away into the hill country between San Antonio and Austin. It's like being between a rock and a hard place. And that's what we are.
Yeah, and the way this place is being built up, it doesn't really seem like it's sustainable for the kind of growth it's having. All like the cookie-cutter houses are being put up cheaply and identically, all side by side next to each other.
Little boxes on the hillside.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And the parts of this town that like are really attracting people can't accommodate that many people here. Have you been down to Green?
Of course, absolutely.
Like, do you see how like crowded it gets down there?
Very much so.
It's crazy.
And I love having just 2 lanes of travel.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. And 30-mile-an-hour speed limit too, by the way.
Yeah, it's like how is that? It's like barely even enjoyable anymore. Like
it's not.
It's not large enough to accommodate that many people.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable, and neither is our river anymore. Honestly, I mean, the fact that you have to pay $2 to get in, and then there's only certain areas that you can get in on, like on the Guadalupe, where, you know, I mean, I grew up on Sanger Avenue, which was right by the Fowl Street Bridge, and that's a great access to the river there. But now you go down there, and there's like people that go down early in the morning. They set up their whole campsite like with a, you know, large amount of stuff, and then they leave. And when they leave all the trash behind, and that just doesn't make sense to me. But they want to fence off that whole entire area now, which also does not make sense to me. I mean, it should be ours. It should be our river to enjoy, but we just can't seem to do that now because of the influx of people. and the lack of any type of like wherewithal with the community council. Like, it just doesn't make sense. The city council has got to step it up here and make some hard decisions for sure, but make some right decisions. For once, that would be great.
Yeah, I remember growing up, going through New Braunfels. Like, it wasn't like a huge place. It was like like a medium, sort of smaller, medium-sized city.
Yeah.
Like
Did you say titty? Oh.
Yeah, like you could like just you could drive through like downtown or whatever. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be super crowded. You could go to Schlitterbahn. That was the most crowded part of the whole town.
Oh
was
yeah.
over at Schlitterbahn, and yeah, and it's just like it just seems. Have you ever been to Cedar Park or Leander?
I haven't been to Cedar Park yet. No. I've heard of it, and I have a friend who is from there many years ago, but I haven't been there myself.
It's kind of gotten to be like Cedar Park, where like it doesn't really have its own identity anymore. Like, it's all been kind of watered down.
Ah, I see. And that's a
Sort of
shame,
a-
because New Braunfels has such a unique identity and such great
Yeah.
history to it. I mean, geez, it was one of the largest cities in Texas. Like at 4 to 5 years after it was founded, or something. Something close to that. But yeah, that's such a shame. When I lived here, I left in 2001. The population here was like 33,000 people,
Yeah.
and now I think it's just under 100,000 or just over 100,000.
I think it was at 90,000 when I looked.
And
yeah.
that's a lot of people. That's 60,000 people in a city that doesn't have expanded infrastructure. Look, there's me there, struggling. But it's kind of strange how that's happened here. And yet all I see is more building. And like, what is that about?
Yeah.
What are we doing to ourselves here? And it's because they want those tax dollars, And taxes here, don't get me started on those too. Taxes here are
Oh, yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
How dare you own a property by the river too? Because that'll ream you, unless you're a military, service member. Because oh my God, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah, it used to be you go to the hill country for cheap land.
yeah, right.
It's like the complete opposite now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before COVID, homes here were still affordable, and I wish we would have bought a home during that period or prior, because honestly, the amount that my parents paid for their house, for what they're getting, it felt like we were just buying a house on the West Coast, and we're not. We are still in Texas. I mean, this summer proved that, and it's pretty ridiculous. And it's crazy how the market's changed here. That is for sure.
Yeah, the house that my parents built in like 2013,
Oh,
2012
fancy.
for like it was like $200,000. That one sold like a year or two ago for like $1.5 million.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's insane.
And good for them, by the way. Congrats on that one. That's definitely a good come up for them.
Yeah.
But it's a shame for the buyers that are trying to get into the market now, and especially for, I mean, even your generation is worse off than my generation. No offense, but it's like, how the hell are you guys going to afford any type of housing? I mean, my generation is already struggling with that, and with the interest rates the way they are, and the amount of money that we don't make working our 9 to 5s. I mean, I just don't understand where they expect us to live, and that explains why there are so many homeless people out in every city too, by the way. Like, we
Yeah.
have 2 or 3 of them here in New Braunfels, and that's all that we'll allow here apparently. But, you go to Austin and they are everywhere, just like in Portland.
Yeah,
and
fucking on the side of the highway.
honestly, and I'm like, dude, I just did that the other day, but still, like, come on, could be decent about it, and it's interesting though. But I'll still go down there and I'll talk to them and say, hey, what's going on? You guys want to do that again or what? But it's a shame. I mean, being the richest country in the world, being such a powerful state in our country, and having such a wealthy city that we live in, to have homeless people it's counterintuitive to me. It doesn't make sense, and yet we're
Yeah.
paying these asinine amount in taxes. Where are they going? Where are those tax dollars going?
Yeah.
How about some services that we can provide to these people that, I'm not trying to give them some handouts, give them a hand up, and honestly, having a stable place to live, even just for 6 months to a year, can help get your life changed completely for the better.
Yeah.
That fear of where you're going to stay at night, or what's going to happen to your stuff if you fall asleep, or, you got to do drugs just to stay awake for 10 days so you don't lose your stuff. Like, that puts such an amount of stress on you that most people won't ever understand. And that's
Yeah.
because they're stable home living people, and it sucks for the people out there struggling. And I talk with them and I meet with them pretty much almost every day. And it's rough, man. It's rough to see that. I only want to become successful and a multimillionaire so that I can help people like that, and
Yeah.
create a community. I mean, why isn't Elon Musk doing this? Like, even this community right here, like this little fake town center could be totally made with a couple $100 million, and it can house so many hundreds of, if not thousands of people and yet it's not happening. It doesn't make sense to me. There's just too much
Yeah.
wealth out there that is not being put to use. It's kind of just being hoarded, and that's an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, it is. We really turn our backs on a lot of people in this country.
Yeah, we do.
Socially, I'm a liberal. I think, like, as far as foreign policy and stuff goes, I'm more conservative.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. When you say you're more liberal, like, what would you say you're more liberal in?
As in,
Would you
like,
have voted for Kamala?
No, I didn't vote.
Okay, yeah, good. Well, me either.
Yeah, I don't believe in voting.
Yeah, right?
No, I just,
It's against my religion that I don't have, son.
yeah, no, I just didn't feel like registering.
Oh, well, I'm registered, but I couldn't do it this year because last time I voted, I didn't win the candidate, and I really wanted somebody to win this time around, so I didn't partake. And sure enough, it happened, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And obviously, you can seek out who I would have voted for had I voted, but it's just I didn't partake this time, and I'm okay with that. That's part of the whole right or part of having that right to partake or to not partake, and I'm not going to be ostracized for not taking that in. So
Yeah, in 2016, like I was like this like geeky I was like one of those geeky like Ben Shapiro nerds or whatever. That was like
Cute.
watching like
Very cute.
like owned compilations and shit like
Yeah.
that. And like I was like of the age to vote then, and I didn't even do it. Like even then, like when it was like my whole thing, I was just like, yeah, I don't want to, like, this is my day off. I don't feel like doing stuff. Like, plus it's like, is that really gonna make a difference? Like,
I don't know if it does. I can't tell if our system is that screwed up that it makes a difference. I mean, sure, we're one vote. That's not going to skew the election, but I can see how numbers kind of play a factor. It's
Yeah.
not just your vote; it's the vote of you among others that are doing the same thing that create that wave. But
Yeah.
this time around, man, I just didn't want to be involved because I didn't want to be blamed for getting the
Yeah.
wrong one or losing it or whatever psychosomatic thing you could consider with that. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Plus-
also, who's gonna eat that cheese? What kind of cheese
oh
is
shit!
that?
I forgot to told you. Yeah, you can eat the cheese.
Thank the
Oh,
Lord.
yeah. Eat one piece and then try
Try the human.
try the piece with the pistachio.
This is really good cheese.
Thanks.
What is it?
Oh, it's Barber's. So like an aged white cheddar. They
Oh,
sell it at
that's my
HEB. It's
favorite.
really good.
My favorite is the Tillamook aged cheddar that they have like in blocks for $6. That is so freaking good. Oh my god! And I love Tillamook because it's in Oregon, and I'd
Yeah.
go visit the factory that's the conglomeration of a bunch of farmers.
Mm.
And Tillamook cheese and Tillamook ice cream. It's a
Mm.
party in your mouth, and everyone's coming. Well,
Yeah.
to the party, not in your mouth. But so
Yeah.
you said eat the cheese with pistachio.
Yeah, try that. Pretty wild flavor, huh?
That is a wild flavor.
Yeah.
Wow, that is. I don't think everyone was invited to that party,
Mhm.
but they're still coming to the party in your mouth kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's really good. And
Yeah.
then what are you gonna do with this? Because I can't
Well,
eat it. It's
yeah.
against my religion.
I don't know why it has like that. I don't know if you saw this sort of like brown like spot in the middle of it.
Yeah. What were
Yeah.
you doing with it?
No.
Were you beating your meat here?
no.
Come on now.
No, I don't know why. I had it refrigerated the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why
You want a
that's
piece of
there.
this?
No, I'm
Don't
good.
deny it. Okay, the host can't eat. I get it. Has to stay svelte.
But yeah, I tried a piece before too of the meat, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna risk like getting him sick or something.
So don't eat it then.
I wouldn't. It tasted fine.
Now I'm gonna have to try it.
All right, yeah, go for it.
I mean, if I'm gonna die, today's the day.
Right.
Oh, it already feels wrong. Oh my god, I think I might be gay now. Oh wait. It's not the first time I've had meat in my mouth. But,
Oh.
it's not bad. It's alright. It's not my favorite cup of tea, but
Yeah.
kind of ruined the cheese taste, which I liked.
Yeah.
That cheese was really good.
It would have been better fresh.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
just like my outfit. Much
Yeah.
better fresh. But today I decided to live the bum life, and so there you are.
Yeah. But by the way, you look great for what do you say, 38?
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I would have guessed like 31, 32.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That much of a difference.
Yeah, the
That's
shades
nice.
might go a long way.
They might absolutely. Well, I mean, I'll show myself without the shades some other time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Hopefully, I will continue to hone that youthful appearance and energy well into my 50s and 60s. But and my family, they've always kind of looked youthful for their age. My grandma, she's like 76 now, 77, and she's still a whippersnapper, beautiful little blonde lady. And my mom, she's she's doing good too, and she's recently got diabetes though, and that was the reason I moved down here. Partially the reason I moved down here, But yeah, hopefully I don't capture that. And yeah, thank you. That was very nice of you.
Yeah, man,
I'd
diabetes.
say you look young too, but you are young, so it doesn't.
Yeah, people telling me I look old.
You kind of do. You kind of do look older too, and you definitely have an old soul to you of some sort. Like
Yeah.
you've been through a lot, perhaps you could say.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
When did you
so-
pick up your first cup of alcohol?
I think it was 13, 14.
That's hot.
Yeah. Before I was like one of those people who's like, I'm never gonna drink, I'm never gonna do
Oh
whatever.
yeah, one of those.
And like that, as soon as I had it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this always, like forever, all the time.
That's how it works, man. That's how it works. Whether it's alcohol or it's anything else, kind of, you could be so against it, and then when you try it and you realize, oh shit,
Yeah.
I might like it, and you're like, okay, I get it now. That kind of goes along with when you ask certain questions to older people, and they're like, you'll understand when you get older, son. And like, that's not an answer, Grandpa. Like, what does that mean? But then when you get older and you understand, you're like, oh, they were onto something, and I get it now.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was talking about then, and I had a lot of those as I was your age and, going into it. And I mean, I thought I knew everything back then, and now I even embrace the fact that I know nothing, and anything is fluid with life in a sense. And I mean, I kind of know who I am, but even then, that has changed as well. So,
Yeah.
Anybody who holds ideas very rigid to themselves only takes away the opportunity for them to experience life in its fullest ability. I mean,
Yeah.
you just kind of the idea of if you love it, you'll let it go. Well, if you love yourself, you'll let that go too, and just be open to what the world and what the energy of God has to give to you and to provide to you to truly experience what it's like to be a human on this planet. I mean, we're on a freaking rock circling a nuclear explosion that's 8 minutes away, for Christ's sake, at the speed of light. Like,
Yeah.
none of this matters. None of it does. But that's what's beautiful about it, because it only matters to, like, what you make of it, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It truly is. As hard as life can get, life is just, it's so captivating, and
Yeah.
it's so amazing to even experience the hardships, and they suck, man. Trust me, they suck. I
Yeah.
hate crying my eyes out leaving a party in Austin, because someone overstepped their boundaries and betrayed my trust or whatever. But you know what that did? That helped me write some songs. And by the way, if I could do a plug, I actually, under Ryan Rain, it's RyanRayn, is my artist name. But I just released my second song, and it's available on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'll put a link to it.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. But that was written because of a devastating experience in Austin, where somebody just couldn't take an inch. They had to take the whole mile. And, there's just nothing quite like opening a door and seeing that going on, where you're like, you know what? I think I'm okay. I'm going to be happy for today. It was just devastating. And and then they wanted to stay, when I had left. I was like, I'm leaving. This is not. And they're like, I think I'm going to stay behind and party around. And I was like, yeah, that's great. You do that. I love that for you. I'm going to go to my car now, but again, it helped me create something beautiful. And hopefully when people listen to that song, they'll enjoy it and they'll connect with it, because I know I did. That's for sure. So yeah, you'll have to listen to it sometime.
Oh, well, I'll do it as soon as I get home.
You could listen to it in my car. Oh,
Sweet. Yeah, it's such
it'll
a
be
nice,
$5. Oh,
Dude, it's such a nice day out too. Like,
honestly,
the weather is like perfect.
this is Portland weather too during the summertime. Like early spring to late summer this is the kind of day you'll have, and that's what I miss the most, man. The weather in Texas sucks, except for right
Yeah.
now, and
Yeah.
you get 4 months of that, and then it goes back to sucking, and I'm just like, oh my god, it sounds like my ex, and I just don't know how people have put up with, especially without AC. How do people deal with that here, like back in the day? Without
Yeah.
AC, I would just rather die. But
Yeah, and
thank
then-
God we have that.
Yeah, they still don't have AC in like most places in the UK and like Germany and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely. Well, in Portland, when we first moved there, a lot of places didn't have AC. It was a luxury, but now a lot of places have AC built in and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's because of the climatic change or just the fact that people want it. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but global warming is happening, I guess. But we're not the cause of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be warming or whatever. no matter
Regardless,
what,
yeah. I mean, what do you think about climate change? Is that something we're doing?
I mean, anything we do is gonna have some
Impact.
effect on everything else.
Absolutely.
I think we shouldn't be dumping like all that fucking plastic in the ocean.
Why not? Where else is it supposed to go, bro? I mean, come on.
Yeah, fair enough. Although they're saying that there are like microbes now that are evolving to like break down
Yep.
plastics and stuff like that.
Now, see, that's the Earth responding in kind.
Yeah. Although I think plastics are like as natural a part of the universe as like a beehive is, or like as an apple is, because this is the way I think about it. So you wouldn't find an apple like on its own unless someone put it there on like Mars, for instance, because its environment isn't conducive to the production of apples. So without an apple tree, apples don't grow, and in order for an apple tree to live and grow apples, it needs an environment that sustains it. I think of it as in the same way with as like plastics or iPhones or whatever.
Absolutely.
The earth, apple, apple, the earth, people, iPhone. Same way at bees, and bees, honey, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like it wouldn't exist, we wouldn't have plastic if it weren't something that the universe made possible to exist. It's well within the rules of nature. It's just a new player, just as the universe or the Earth didn't have as much oxygen before algae came around to convert carbon dioxide. It's just a new a new player has arrived, basically, and
Right.
something's as long as there's something to be utilized, something is going to utilize it.
That's very true. You're not only just sexy, but you're also very smart. I liked how you put that. I would say that is exactly it. When we look in the geological records of like how there's just certain layers of things, and it's like we swing back from a very high carbon dioxide based environment to a very high oxygen based environment.
Yep.
It's just a pendulum swing, and everything that we do it's been created by this planet. We haven't brought anything alien, except for ourselves, perhaps, and our whatever this consciousness is that installed into apes, or whatever you may think the theory is. But like,
Yeah.
plastics are absolutely within the rules of the universe, and it's just a new player, and that's a really good way to put it. And I think that even if we do end civilization because of it, we'll just be another layer in the sand for the next one to kind of look back and say, hey, what does this mean, or what was that? And I don't
Yeah.
even think we've built anything actually this generation that will be long lasting, like the pyramids, for them to even question what was going on in our technological, or even in our physiological experience at the time. It's
Yeah.
kind of unfortunate. None of these buildings will last. None of them. Anything built by concrete like that, not going to last.
Yeah,
And
true.
it's crazy how fast the Earth will take it back.
Yeah, the rebar in the concrete will rust, and that'll cause cracks, and that'll cause structural problems.
Yep. And then plants will find their way.
Yep, and they'll widen the gaps even more until the foundation is unsteady, and
Yep.
then it collapses into a pile of rubble, and the concrete is reduced back to its
Original state.
to its original state.
And eventually all that stuff goes into the ocean, and
Yep.
eventually all that has subduction zones that kind of just take everything in and creates these, when we find large veins of gold and stuff like that, all of that is just basically all that shit from millions of years ago compressed, in a subduction zone and heated up and then kind of bubbling up through volcanic, avenues, or just pushed back up from, the tectonic plates being pushed up or whatever. all of that it's all natural. It is all from the earth, and so are we. And so I really appreciate your perspective on that, so especially being so young, having the idea that it is as it is, it is not something that we have done and that we should be punished for, and especially taxed for. That is something that I think is just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So.
Yeah, I hope the only like remnant of humanity that the aliens have like to decipher our entire culture from is like a fidget spinner review video or something, or like the Skibbity Rizzler or something like
no
that.
Kidding. Right.
Yeah, and they have to decipher like what our values were and like what we worshipped and all that stuff.
Gosh, and how sad will that be when they finally figure that out? Like,
yeah.
Well, the amount of people that have died for our values and our ideas, it's fascinating to me that we can look ourselves in the mirror sometimes, but then we do things like this, or this, and it's like, this is pretty amazing. We do some pretty amazing things.
Yeah.
And I definitely hope that we continue to do that. That is for sure. So.
Yeah, I feel like most people, they're pretty chill, but then there were a few narcissistic
I was
assholes.
gonna say, yeah, there's a few narcissists out there
that send people to die for nothing but money, even though they have more money than they could ever spend.
Yep.
And they just want to keep on going with that.
And does it make them happy?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And they never face any consequences for it either. You never see them on trial.
No, God, no.
They might pick someone to go in their place to pay a fine or something like that. But
they gaslight the shit out of their community.
Yep.
Yeah, and narcissistic people, man, they are definitely they are an interesting breed, I will say.
Yep.
And I don't even know if it's because they're hot or they get away with a lot or what it is, but they're an interesting breed. That is for sure. They've put me in my place a couple times.
Yeah, I definitely think that the term gets like overused though these days a little bit. Like when I was doing group therapy for a little bit, like every girl with a nose ring was like dating a narcissist or whatever.
Of course, yeah, and that's because the narcissists are hot.
Yeah, and like when you ask like what they actually did or whatever, it'd be like some like minor shit like.
Would you say that you're a narcissist?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't get that vibe from you.
When I was like doing a lot of speed, I had some narcissistic tendencies for sure. But no, I don't think so. I hope not.
I hope not.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you talking about? You're crazy for thinking that.
Yeah,
gosh,
dude, you look crazy.
You are so crazy for that. I never said that, by the way. Just as a by the way. Oh. Oh, he's a narcissist. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's been staring at us this whole last hour or so. Which is funny. So he's going to come be part of this this podcast here soon if we don't wrap it up.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, as a message, always wrap it before you tap it. And yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yep.
I think, yeah. I wish you well in the future and in your future episodes as well.
Thank you. It has been an awesome conversation. Thank you all for tuning in. And I'm gonna plug his music in the bio in the description. Y'all be sure to check that out. And I'll see y'all again soon. Peace.
Peace.